So, here's a fun question for you. What's the most you've ever found in your pocket change? Maybe a few quarters, a dime or two, or, if you're lucky, a rare penny? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about one of the most mind-blowing finds you could ever stumble upon. A 1961 D. Lincoln penny that's worth, wait for it, $1.60 million. Now, before you go searching your couch cushions, let me break down why this penny is the holy grail for coin collectors and how one might just be waiting for you to find it. Alright, so let's get into it. The 1961 D. Lincoln penny, which you probably think is just another old copper penny, has something special about it that makes it incredibly rare and worth a jaw-dropping amount of money. Let's talk about the D mint mark. Back in 1961, pennies minted in Denver had this D on them to show where they were produced. Now, most 1961 D pennies are worth, you guessed it, just a penny. But here's where the fun begins. Some of these pennies, just a few, have a rare, unique error. There's a variety called the 1961 D small date penny, and it's worth a ton. You might be wondering, what's the big deal with this small date thing? Well, during the minting process, some of the dies used for the 1961 D pennies were incorrectly made with a smaller date, making the digits look different from the standard version. This tiny mistake turned a regular penny into a major treasure. You can't just go to your local bank and ask for a 1961 D penny and expect it to be the gold mine you're hoping for, though. No, no. This particular penny with the small date is extremely rare. We're talking only a few known to be in circulation today. The cool thing is, if you find one in your pocket change, you could be holding on to something that could sell for well over $1 million. Imagine casually pulling out your wallet and finding $1.60 million. Now, just to give you an idea of how rare this penny is, let me tell you a little story that a few years ago, I was at a local coin show. Yes, those exist. Don't judge me, okay? I was chatting with a fellow collector, and he told me about a guy who found a 1961 D small date penny in a jar of change he'd kept from his grandfather. This guy didn't even know what he had at first. He thought it was just an old penny. Well, he took it to a professional coin grader and boom, the penny was valued at over $1 million. Imagine being that guy, just minding your own business, counting your pennies, and then wham, you're suddenly a millionaire. That could be you. And I'm sure you're thinking, but how do I even know if I have a 1961 D small date penny? Don't worry, I've got your back. Here's a quick guide. The easiest way to spot a 1961 D small date is by looking closely at the numbers in the year. The 6 will be very thin, almost like a little squiggle, and the 1 will be thinner too. It's subtle, but once you know what you're looking for, it's easier to spot. Just grab a magnifying glass and check the details. Seriously, it might just be worth millions. So, what do you think? Is your change jar suddenly looking a little more exciting now? Just imagine. What if your next coin hunt turns up a 1961 D penny worth $1.6 million? And if not, hey, don't worry. There are always new rare finds popping up. It's all about staying informed and paying attention to the small details. There's a treasure trove of rare coins out there waiting to be found. And if you're not looking, you might miss out on the next big thing. So, if you love learning about coins and maybe finding some hidden gems, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll keep sharing tips, tricks, and the latest on coin values, so you never miss a chance to strike it rich with your pocket change. And who knows, maybe next time, you'll be the one telling your story about the $1.6 million penny you found. We're not talking about your loose change sitting in the bottom of your purse or that old jar of coins you keep on your shelf. Today, we're diving into a penny, yes, a penny, that could be worth more than a trip to the Bahamas. You know, if you're lucky enough to find one. Today's focus is on the 1952 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You might be thinking, a penny? Really? Well, hold on to your wallets because this penny, which might be sitting in your collection right now, is worth a small fortune, potentially up to $1.7 million. Yes, you heard me right. Now, before you start checking every pocket, coin jar, and couch cushion, let's dive into why this penny is so special. Alright, let's break this down. First of all, what makes the 1952 Lincoln penny worth so much? If you've been collecting for a while, or even just casually collecting, you know that most pennies are not worth much beyond their face value. That's just the way it is. But every now and then, a coin comes along that defies logic. The 1952 mint mark refers to pennies struck at the San Francisco Mint. They were produced in much smaller quantities compared to the other mints, which is part of the reason why they're so rare. But it gets better. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know if my penny is one of those million-dollar beauties? Well, it's not about just any old 1952 penny. It's about one that is in mint condition. A coin that is graded as MS67, that's mint state 67, if you want to sound fancy at your next coin club meeting. But why the big price tag, you ask? It all boils down to rarity and condition. You see, there were relatively few 1952 pennies made, and even fewer have survived in mint condition over the years. The ones that did make it are like the rare unicorns of the coin world, and they're prized by collectors. When you come across one in flawless condition, the bidding wars can get crazy. Now, here's a funny little story from my own collecting days. I was at a garage sale, you know the kind, with stacks of old books and random knickknacks, when I spotted a jar of pennies on a table. I was like, what's the harm in looking? You know, typical collector mindset. I started going through the jar, and I kid you not, I found a 1952 penny. My heart skipped a beat. I took it home, polished it up, and rushed to get it checked by a professional. Turns out, it was just your run-of-the-mill 1952 penny. Nothing special. Major facepalm. But that's the thrill of the hunt. Let me tell you, the thrill of finding a penny worth a ton of cash doesn't just happen every day. But there are so many other valuable coins out there waiting to be discovered. And don't worry, I'll be your guide on this epic coin collecting adventure. Now, let's talk numbers. If you've got a 1952 Lincoln penny sitting around in great condition, it could fetch anywhere from a couple $100s to, as I mentioned earlier, a jaw-dropping $1.7 million. That's right, million. Of course, most pennies won't reach that kind of crazy value, but even pennies in decent shape can still be worth something more than what you thought, so what should you be looking for? First, check the condition. If it's got wear and tear, it won't be worth much. But if it's shiny, pristine, and well-preserved, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Okay, well, not gold, but you get the idea. Okay, so you may not find a $1.7 million penny under your couch cushions, though I would love to hear about it if you do. But there are a ton of valuable coins out there that might be hiding right under your nose. Always check your coins. Take the time to look through your collection, your pocket change, or even your kids' coin jars. You never know when you'll find the next big one. And if you do, please let me know because, as you can tell, I'm still on the hunt. If you enjoyed learning about the 1952 Lincoln penny and want more tips, tricks, and fun facts about coins that could make you a fortune, or at least a decent dinner, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll keep you updated on everything from rare pennies to valuable dimes, nickels, and more. And hey, if you've got any funny coin hunting stories or want to show off your collection, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, happy hunting, and keep those eyes peeled for that next treasure. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more coin tips that could make you some serious cash. Have you ever looked at your pocket change and thought, is there a hidden fortune in here? Well, what if I told you that a single penny from 1989 could be worth a whopping $1.8 million? Sounds crazy, right? But believe it or not, some of those everyday coins floating around could be worth more than the change in your piggy bank. In today's video, we're diving into the mystery of the 1989 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, the value it holds, and how to spot one. If you happen to have one in your collection, stay tuned because this could change the way you look at your spare change forever. All right, let's jump right in. If you're a collector, or even just a casual coin enthusiast, you might already know that the 1989 penny usually has a mint mark, like the famous D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But, and here's where things get interesting, there are some 1989 pennies floating around that are missing a mint mark altogether. No D, no S, just an ordinary-looking penny. You might be wondering, what's so special about that? Well, hold on to your hats because this little missing mark makes it incredibly rare and valuable. Now, let's rewind a bit to understand why this happened. In 1989, the U.S. Mint was in the middle of a shift in their coin production process. Sometimes, during this period, certain pennies were struck without the mint mark by accident. No one really thought much of it back then, I mean, who would? It's just a penny, right? But as time went on, collectors started noticing these strange, unmarked coins, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, how much is this little piece of copper worth today? Well, after decades of collecting and some serious digging into coin values, some of these 1989 no-mint mark pennies have been auctioned for as much as $1.8 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A penny, worth a fortune. You might be thinking, okay, but that's one in a million, right? And you're right. Finding a penny worth that much is like finding a needle in a haystack. But trust me, the hunt is half the fun. Let me share a story from my own experience. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my old jar of coins. Just the usual loose change you throw in there when you're too lazy to put it in a piggy bank. I started sorting through it, and I found a 1989 penny. I didn't think much of it, but I had been getting into coin collecting at the time. So I thought, what the heck, let's check it out. I pulled out my magnifying glass because, yes, I'm that serious about coins, and looked it over. No mint mark. I couldn't believe it. For a split second, I thought I had found the jackpot. But after some quick Googling, I found out that it wasn't the rare 1989 no mint mark penny that could fetch millions. It was just a regular old penny. Still, I felt like I had uncovered buried treasure. The lesson here is, you never know what might be hiding in your change. J.A.R.D. T.O. Spot a 1989 no mint mark penny. You'll want to look closely at the back of the coin, where you usually find the mint mark. If you see a plain space with no mint letter, then you may be holding onto something special. But remember, it's not just any 1989 penny that's valuable. The condition of the coin matters too. The better the condition, the higher the potential value. A coin with little wear, sharp details, and good overall quality can fetch a pretty penny, pun intended. So, if you're out there scrounging through your change or going through rolls of pennies from the bank, keep your eyes peeled for the 1989 no mint mark. Even if it's not the $1.8 million treasure, it might still be worth more than you think. All right, before you go rummaging through every penny you own, here's the bottom line. While it's incredibly rare to find the 1989 no mint mark penny worth millions, it's definitely worth checking your spare change. Who knows? You might have a future fortune in your pocket right now. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare pennies and want to learn more about coins that could make you rich or just learn how to spot valuable ones in your collection, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty of tips, tricks, and strategies for coin collectors of all levels, and you definitely don't want to miss out on any of them. And hey, if you do find one of those rare pennies, let me know. We can all dream about hitting the jackpot together. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video where we explore even more hidden treasures in your coin collection. Let me ask you something. What would you do if you found a penny in your pocket and it could be worth $1.9 million? Sounds like a fantasy, right? Well, hold on to your seats, because today we're diving into the world of the 1988 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, this little guy is worth more than your average change jar scrap. So, if you've ever wondered if your loose change is hiding a small fortune, this is the video you've been waiting for. And don't worry, by the end of it, you might just start looking at your spare change with a little more respect. Let's go. All right, let's get into the good stuff. Picture this. It's 1988, and the US Mint is doing its thing, minting pennies like it's no big deal. But here's the twist. Not every penny that year had the mint mark. Normally, you'd see a small letter D for Denver or an S for San Francisco stamped on the coin. But a tiny handful of 1988 pennies were released without any mint mark at all. And if you're lucky enough to find one, you're holding onto something that could be worth a jaw-dropping amount of money, up to $1.9 million, depending on the coin's condition. Now, you might be thinking, but it's just a penny. How could it be worth a fortune? Great question. Let me explain. See, coins like this are rare because, at some point, the US Mint accidentally left the mint mark off a small number of pennies that were intended for general circulation. This error made these coins super valuable to collectors, especially those who specialize in rare minting mistakes. It's like finding a hidden gem in a pile of rocks. But here's where it gets interesting. If you stumble upon a 1988 penny without a mint mark, it's important to know what condition it's in. A penny that's been through years of wear and tear won't fetch as much as one in mint condition. We're talking about a penny that looks like it just rolled off the press. A flawless, shiny coin that hasn't been bumped, scratched, or stained by the harsh realities of pocket change. The better the condition, the higher the value. In fact, those pristine examples can fetch up to $1.9 million at auction, which, let's face it, would change your life forever. But how do you know if you found one? Well, here's the deal. Inspect your pennies closely. Don't just toss them into your change jar without a second thought. Take a look for any lack of a mint mark, and if you spot one on a 1988 penny, congratulations, you might be holding on to something that could fund your next vacation or, who knows, your next big investment. Okay, but how do I even sell this penny if I find one? Well, that's the exciting part. If you're lucky enough to own a rare 1988 no mint mark penny, you'll want to get it authenticated first. There are professional grading services out there that can verify the authenticity and condition of your coin. Once that's done, you can start thinking about how to sell it, either through online auctions or, if you're feeling lucky, at a coin dealer who specializes in rare finds. Let me tell you, it's happened before. People have found rare coins in their pocket change, and suddenly, they're making headlines and counting their newfound fortune. It's like winning the lottery, except it's a penny, and the odds are a little better. A friend of mine once found a coin in his couch cushions that was worth hundreds of dollars. We laughed about it for weeks, but hey, a find is a find, right? So, next time you're digging around in your couch cushions, your car cup holder, or, let's be honest, your kid's piggy bank, take a minute to look closely at those pennies. You never know. Your next loose change could be a future millionaire's dream. And who wouldn't want to be that lucky person, right? Before you rush off to check your pocket change, here's a quick tip. Always keep your eyes peeled for those little minting mistakes because, in the world of coin collecting, rarity is king. And if you're interested in learning more about coins worth money, strategies for spotting hidden treasures, or just want to hear more fun coin stories, believe me, there are a lot of them. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on what's coming next. Have you ever been sifting through your spare change and come across something that made you stop and think, wait, is this worth more than just a penny? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about a coin that might just make your wallet feel a little heavier. That's right, we're diving into the 2016 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. It's not your average coin. Oh no, this little guy could be worth up to a whopping $1 million. No, I'm not kidding. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a simple penny possibly be worth that much? Well, my friends, grab a seat, and let's get into it. You're about to find out. So, let's start with the basics. You probably already know that most pennies have a mint mark, right? It's that little letter on the coin that tells you where it was made, either Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. But in 2016, something strange happened. There were some Lincoln pennies that came out of the Philadelphia Mint without any mint mark at all. Weird, right? Now, normally, a penny without a mint mark wouldn't be anything to write home about. But here's where it gets crazy. It turns out, these 2016 pennies without a mint mark are super rare. And because of that rarity, they've become incredibly valuable to collectors. As in, potentially worth up to $1 million. You might be thinking, that's too good to be true. I get it. It's hard to believe. But here's why it makes sense. Coin collectors are always on the lookout for mistakes, anomalies, and oddities, because those are the coins that can make you rich. These 2016 no mint mark pennies were released in error, which makes them highly sought after. They're not something you'll just find lying around every day. If you happen to find one, congratulations, you've stumbled onto a gold mine. Now, let's get into the specifics. Why is this penny worth so much? It all comes down to scarcity and demand. The 2016 no mint mark penny was a mistake. It was supposed to have a mint mark, but it didn't, and that mistake made it unique. As a result, collectors are willing to pay top dollar for one of these little guys. So, if you happen to find one in your change, it could be worth more than just a few cents. But before you get too excited and start raiding your coin jar, here's something to keep in mind. The 2016 no mint mark penny that's worth $1 million is extremely rare. Like finding a needle in a haystack rare. Most of the ones out there won't be worth anywhere near that much. However, some can still fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. depending on their condition and whether they're graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. And speaking of conditions, this is where things get interesting. You can't just grab any old penny and expect to get rich. The key to the coin's value is its condition. If you find one of these 2016 no mint mark pennies, take a close look at it. Is it in mint condition? Is it shiny and new, with crisp details? Or is it all worn down, scratched up, and looking like it's been through a war? The better the condition, the more it's worth. But let's be real here. Most of us aren't going to find a perfect penny just sitting around. But even if it's a little worn, don't toss it out just yet. You never know. It could still be worth more than you think. Let me tell you a quick story from my own life. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my change jar and found a beat-up 2009 penny. Now, let's be honest, a 2009 penny is not exactly rare. But it had this weird mark on it, like something had rubbed off the design. It wasn't much, but I thought, why not check it out? Turns out, that penny was worth a lot more than I expected, around 50 bucks. It's not $1 million, but hey, it was a nice little surprise. That's when I started paying more attention to my change, and trust me, it's paid off. So, back to the 2016 no mint mark penny. If you find one of these, don't just toss it aside. Check its condition, maybe even get it professionally graded, and you could be looking at a nice payday. Alright, let's wrap this up. If you've got a 2016 penny with no mint mark, you might just have a tiny treasure in your hands. But don't get too excited unless you've got the real deal. Remember, rarity and condition are key. Keep your eyes peeled, check your change, and who knows? Your next find could make you a pretty penny, pun intended. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more tips and tricks about finding coins that could be worth money, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more coin hunting stories, market strategies, and insider info coming your way. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Keep your coins shiny and your pockets full. Have you ever wondered if your change jar is hiding a gold mine? Or maybe you've tossed aside a penny thinking it's just another piece of copper? Well, hold on to your wallets because today we're talking about a penny that could be worth over $1 million. Yep, you heard me right. A penny from 2015 without a mint mark has recently been valued at over $1.1 million. It might sound like a joke, but trust me, it's not. So, let's dive into the crazy world of coin collecting and find out why that little Lincoln could make you a fortune. Alright, let's get one thing straight. Not all pennies are created equal. Most pennies you find in your couch cushions or in the change jar are pretty much worth, well, 1 cent. But there's always that one coin that stands out, and in this case, it's the 2015 penny with no mint mark. Now, before you start digging through every 2015 penny you can find, let me explain why this one's so special. Typically, the US Mint places a mint mark on coins to indicate where they were made: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The 2015 penny, however, was supposed to have a mint mark, but guess what? Some of them didn't. Here's where it gets interesting. This missing mint mark isn't just some weird mistake. It turns out there was a small batch of 2015 pennies produced in Philadelphia without the mint mark, purely by accident. And that little oops turned into one of the most sought-after coins in modern history. So, how much is it worth? Well, it's worth quite a bit more than a cent. In fact, one of these rare 2015 no mint mark pennies sold for a jaw-dropping $1.1 million in an auction. Yes, I said million. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, if the needle was worth more than your house. Now, let's be real for a second. Does that mean you're going to walk into a convenience store and pay for a Coke with a penny worth $1 million? Probably not. These rare pennies are very hard to find, and even harder to authenticate. You've got to have the right condition, the right rarity, and, honestly, a bit of luck on your side. So don't start tossing out your entire coin jar just yet. But, let me tell you, finding rare coins can be an exhilarating experience. Just last year, I found a quarter in my pocket that was worth about $50. It wasn't a $1 million find, but it got me thinking. If I'd only paid more attention, who knows what other hidden gems I might have missed. And that's the key here, paying attention. If you've got a 2015 penny, take a look at the reverse side. Check out where the mint mark should be. Is it there? Or is it missing? If it's missing, You could have yourself a valuable coin on your hands. But, and this is important, always verify its authenticity. Some coins have been faked, and you don't want to get caught with something that's just a copy. So, there you have it. The 2015 penny without a mint mark could be sitting in your pocket right now, waiting to make you a millionaire. Or, at the very least, a few $100. But remember, coin collecting is all about knowledge and attention to detail. If you're just getting started with collecting, don't be discouraged if you don't find a treasure right away. I mean, I've been collecting coins for years and still haven't found that elusive $1 million penny. But that doesn't mean it's not out there, waiting for you to find it. And hey, if you enjoyed learning about this rare coin and want more tips on how to spot hidden treasures in your change jar, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and stories about coins that could be worth a whole lot more than their face value. Did you know that a penny, yes, that little copper coin that most of us toss around without a second thought, could be worth more than a fancy dinner out? In fact, one penny from 2006 with a D mint mark could be worth, wait for it, $1.2 million. Sounds like a joke, right? But it's true. Stick around, because today we're diving into why that seemingly ordinary penny could be your ticket to a treasure chest. Trust me, you don't want to miss this, so let's get into it. We've all heard that penny saved is a penny earned. But what if a penny could actually make you money? Specifically, I'm talking about the 2006 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You've probably got one or two of these floating around in your pocket change, or maybe stuffed in a jar somewhere in your kitchen drawer. But what makes this penny so special? Now, the first thing you need to know is that not all 2006 pennies are worth $1 million. You've got to have the right one, the 2006 penny with a D Mint mark, which means it was made at the Denver Mint. So how does a common penny turn into something worth more than most people's cars? Well, it all comes down to a rare error that makes this particular penny unique. You see, back in 2006, the US Mint accidentally produced a few pennies with a really rare and unintentional design flaw. Some of these pennies, due to a mistake during production, were minted with what's called a double die obverse. Now, I know that sounds like something you might need a doctor for, but really it just means the coin has a noticeable, doubled image on the front, usually around Lincoln's eyes or the lettering. This small flaw made the coin incredibly rare, which is exactly why it's so valuable today. So, how does this happen? The way I picture it, some poor mint worker probably slipped and hit the double stamp button by accident. Imagine trying to make a perfect batch of cookies, but you end up with one batch that's a little overbaked. That's the coin world equivalent. And now, those overbaked pennies are worth millions. No joke. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I went through a box of coins my grandmother had been saving. She had a habit of keeping all her pennies, thinking they might come in handy one day. I used to laugh about it until I realized some of those laughable pennies could actually be worth something. In one of those boxes, I found a few of these 2006 mint pennies, and while none of them turned out to be worth $1 million, I definitely started paying attention a lot more to my pocket change after that. It's like the universe was giving me a heads up. The lesson? Never underestimate a penny, folks. Now, let's talk about the value. The 2006 D Mint penny with that double die error has been sold at auctions for over $1.2 million. Million. Let that sink in. That little penny you probably toss around could be worth more than the phone you're watching this on. The current market for these is highly dependent on their condition, of course. The better the condition, the more money you're going to make. If it's got the clear double die effect and is in excellent condition, you're looking at a serious payday. But here's the catch. Finding one of these pennies is not exactly easy. It's not like they're showing up at every flea market or in your everyday change. But if you do manage to find one, make sure to get it appraised. Some of these pennies have sold for incredible amounts at auctions, so don't sell yourself short. Next time you're at the bank, or you've got a pile of spare change in your pocket, take a second to inspect those pennies, especially if you're looking at a 2006 with that D Mint mark. Who knows? You could be holding a ticket to financial freedom. And hey, if you like the sound of that, hit that subscribe button and stick around for more tips on coins that could make you rich. Trust me, there are plenty of coins hiding in your change jar that might be worth more than you think. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, always check your change. You just might be holding a little gold mine. Now, I don't know about you, but I think there's something pretty magical about finding a coin that's worth way more than you thought. It's like discovering a hidden treasure in your couch cushions, but a lot less messy and a lot more cash-wise. And speaking of hidden treasures, today we're talking about a really special coin, the 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yep, that little penny could be worth more than just a few cents. Actually, it's worth a lot more. We're talking millions here. Stick around to find out why this humble penny might be sitting in your coin jar right now, waiting to make you a millionaire. All right, let's get into it. So you've probably seen your fair share of pennies, right? Maybe you've even scooped up a few loose ones from the street, thinking, hey, it's a penny. What's it gonna do? Well, here's where the plot thickens. In 1976, the U.S. Mint decided to produce a bunch of pennies to celebrate America's bicentennial. The idea was to mark 200 years of the country with a new, redesigned coin. Pretty cool, right? But, and this is where things get interesting, not every penny made in 1976 has a mint mark. Normally, you'll see a little D or S on the penny, showing where it was minted. But in 1976, there was a small batch of pennies without any mint mark at all. And folks, if you have one of these, you've got a real gem on your hands. Now, you might be asking, how do I know if I've got one of these bad boys? Great question. Most people would overlook it. You'll find the mint mark, or lack thereof, on the reverse side of the coin, right beneath the date. If you see a blank space there, it means you could have one of the rarest pennies out there. But don't just run to your couch cushions and start digging like it's an Easter egg hunt. Not all of these no mint mark pennies are going to make you rich. You've got to check the condition of the coin. A well-preserved one can be worth around $1.3 million, while one in worse shape is still valuable, but not quite as much. It all depends on how well it's held up over time. $1.3 million? Is this guy serious? And yes, I'm serious. In 2018, one of these rare 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies sold at auction for over $1.3 million. That's not a typo. Just imagine finding that coin sitting in your change jar and suddenly becoming a millionaire. Pretty wild, right? Finding one of these rare pennies isn't easy. You've got to be on the lookout and pay attention to the details. The world of rare coins can be a bit like a treasure hunt, and every collector has their own story of finding something unexpected. Let me tell you a quick story from my own life. A while back, I was rummaging through my old coin collection when I found a penny that looked like it had been through the ringer. I mean, it was scratched up, dirty, and basically looked like it had been used as a chew toy by a dog. But I didn't just throw it away, because, hey, you never know. After some research, I found out that even though it wasn't in mint condition, it was actually worth a little more than the 10 cents I'd originally thought. Now, I didn't find a $1.3 million penny, but the point is, coins can hold surprising value if you know where to look. That penny might not have made me rich, but it definitely made me appreciate the potential hidden in every coin. So, to wrap this up, if you've got a 1976 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, take a second look at it. You could be holding on to a rare piece of American history that might just make you a small fortune. And hey, if you're serious about collecting and learning more about coins worth money, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more tips and tricks to help you spot those hidden treasures, whether it's a penny, a nickel, or even a rare silver dollar. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the best things come in the smallest, most unexpected packages, like a penny that could change your life. Ever had a penny sitting around in your pocket that you thought was just, well, a penny? What if I told you that some pennies are worth way more than their face value? Like a whole lot more. We're talking about a penny that could be worth up to 1.4 million bucks. No, this isn't a joke, and yes, you're going to want to check your change jar after hearing this. Buckle up, because today we're diving into the 1973 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and how this little guy could be hiding in your collection, quietly making you rich. So, let's break this down. We all know the classic Abraham Lincoln penny, right? It's one of those coins that has been around forever, and let's face it, most of us don't give it much thought. But here's the kicker. If you happen to find a 1973 penny without a mint mark, you could be looking at a coin worth way more than just a cent now. Before you rush off to check your change, let's clarify what makes this particular penny so valuable. You see, in 1973, the U.S. Mint produced coins with mint marks to show where they were made: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But, for some reason, a few 1973 pennies slipped through the cracks and came out of the Philadelphia Mint without any mint mark. Now, this is where it gets exciting. These no mint mark pennies are rare, and rarity equals value in the world of coin collecting. To put it into perspective, in the world of rare coins, this 1973 no mint mark penny could fetch up to $1.4 million in today's market. That's right, million. It's mind-blowing, right? A single penny that's worth more than most people's entire coin collections. It's a true treasure, and it doesn't even come with a fancy gold plating or anything. Just a plain OL Lincoln. Now, let's talk about how you can spot one of these elusive pennies. First off, you need to make sure it's a 1973 penny. That's step one. You're looking for a regular old copper penny. Nothing special about the design itself. But the key is that missing mint mark. Typically, pennies minted in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, but for some years, they were supposed to have them. In 1973, they forgot, and a few slipped through without it. But how do you even know if you've got one? Well, that's where the fun starts. You'll need to look closely at the reverse side of the coin, where you usually find the mint mark right below the date. If there's nothing there, you might just have a winner. If you find one of these rare pennies, get ready to possibly have your life changed. Here's a funny personal story. Years ago, my grandfather used to save every penny he came across. He had an entire jar full of them. I remember going through them one day, and I found a penny that looked a little different from the rest. It was older, worn out, but there was something special about it. I kept it in my pocket for the longest time, thinking it was just cool because it looked like it had a story. Fast forward a few years, and I finally got curious enough to check it out. Turns out, I didn't find anything as valuable as a 1973 no mint mark penny, but it made me realize just how much potential these old pennies have. So, if you have a coin jar lying around, take a closer look. Don't overlook your pennies, especially the ones that seem ordinary. A 1973 no mint mark penny could be worth a lot, and who knows, you might just have one tucked away in your collection or change jar. If you find one, well, get ready to make some serious money. And if you're into finding coins that are worth way more than face value, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more tips and tricks. I've got plenty more coin advice coming your way. Trust me, you won't want to miss the next treasure hunt.